What's up, YouTube? It's Comic Sellet, and I wanted to film this video right after I watched to show the ugly crying, because in this video I'm going to be reacting to the mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead, which was season 8, episode 9. Those of you that watch The Walking Dead know that the finale was a heart-wrencher because we found out at the very end of the episode that Carl got bit. He got bit in a place that he couldn't recover from. The beginning of this episode goes through how it happened. It happened earlier that day when he was trying to save this one guy in the woods and they got attacked by walkers. So the beginning of the episode is Carl realizing that he got bit, and he's writing letters out saying goodbye to people. He's playing with his younger sister Judith, and he's wearing the hat, Rick's hat. It was just like so beautiful and so sad. And he wasn't, I mean, obviously he was sad, but like he had like a peace about it. It's like he accepted it, which was so mature of him. I know a lot of people didn't like Carl as a character, but I've always loved him. And it's not just because I love the actor. I think that they did a really good job of portraying what a kid growing up in that world would have been like. He made a lot of stupid mistakes because he's a kid and kids make stupid mistakes. But he had to mature really quickly, and I think in a lot of ways he did that. And in the finale, he was very brave. The episode before this one, he was very brave standing up to Negan. He created the whole escape plan without Rick being there. Most of this episode is Carl heavy, and it's kind of flashing back and forth to Rick and Michonne seeing him bit, and then flashing back to before. I like that Carol is in this episode a little bit. It's mainly Carl, but Carol's in it a little bit. She's taken over leading the kingdom, which is good and bad. I don't like that Ezekiel completely fell apart after he lost a lot of his people and he lost his tiger. He just sort of gave up. So that was sad to see. So at the end of the episode, toward the end I guess, he's talking to Michonne and to Rick, Carl, and other people need to get to the hilltop because they're in this sewer thing underneath Alexandria. And that was Carl's plan all along, was to take them to the hilltop where they would be safe or safer. Rick wants to stay with Carl, and Michonne wants to stay with Carl. But Carl said, you know, can you take Judith, my little sister? Like, she needs to go. And Daryl offered to take her, which was cute, and it brought me back to the prison season when he just adored that baby and he took care of her. He'd always had a special place in his heart for Judith, I think, especially because of Sophia. But when he gave Judith the hat, it was the worst. So obviously you all that watch the show know that he got the hat when he got shot in season 2, and he always wore it. He wore Rick's cop hat, sheriff hat, whenever he was fighting, when he was like fighter Carl. And I thought it was really sweet that throughout all of the seasons since, when he grew up, he just always wore that hat. It just made him such a real, he made him a kid. Like, he was so adult, but yet he was a little kid, and the fact that he wore the hat up until the end was like a super cute, childlike thing. But he gave Judith the hat, and he said that wearing the hat always kept his dad, Rick, with him. It helped him. It made him feel like he was as strong as Rick, and he hoped that it would do the same for her, and it was just like gut-wrenching as hell. One of the saddest lines that he said was when he was faced with his mom dying, right before his mom died, she said, "You're gonna beat this world, Carl." And he reflected back on that moment, and he said, "I haven't, but you will," meaning Judith. It was just so sad and so sweet. Ezekiel gets taken back to the hilltop as a prisoner, but it turns out Carol and Morgan swept in and saved him, which was super badass. I loved that, and I loved that Ezekiel actually finally kicked it into gear, picked up a gun, and fought back, because I was hoping he wasn't just done. I know that he felt dejected, he suffered a lot of losses, but I was glad to see Ezekiel kick a little bit of butt. Morgan was absolutely savage, though, and so, okay, Morgan, there was an extra scene at the end that I didn't know was coming, so I'm all stuffed up again because I just cried. Okay, so Morgan's had a long road with, like, getting tough. He's gone up and down with how to survive in this world, but I like the savage part of Morgan, and he took one of the saviors, and I think he'd gotten shot already, and he like reached into his guts and pulled out his intestines. I was like, that's badass, Morgan. I had been looking forward to seeing something like that in this episode. Like, the whole episode was Carl dying. It started with Rick and Michonne digging his grave, and it ended that way. And it was just, the whole episode was him dying. So when everyone left to go to the hilltop, Rick and Michonne wanted to bring him back to their house, even though it was kind of on fire. But he didn't make it, so they went into the church. And they laid him down. And he told Michonne, I don't want you to be sad about this or angry. You have to be strong for Dad and for Judith and everything. And he said, that she was his best friend. And that was super sweet. And the best part was at the end when he was talking to them about when Rick took in enemies, people that were left over from the governor's reign in Woodbury. He took them in as friends and they lived together, and it was really great. And he said that can still happen. And he has high hopes that the Saviors and Rick's people will reconcile. And he said we can still do that. And Rick is like, no, it's different now. And I mean, it is. The governor is completely weak compared to Negan. Negan is so savage. Rick said he can't do it. Then Carl gives his vision. And his vision ends up being the weird flash forwards that we've gotten through season 8 so far, where Rick's all old and he has a gray beard and stuff. And it makes it more beautiful that was Carl's vision. Because we weren't really sure what that was. If that alluded to the theory that Walking Dead's just all in Rick's head and he was dreaming or whatever. But it turns out it was Carl's vision, and he's has everybody there. He has Eugene, who we know is a savior at the moment, and it has everybody, Judith older and stuff, everyone's happy and they're all just building a new community together. But the kicker is at the very end, it's time for Carl to make a decision, because he's gonna die and then turn into a walker, which he doesn't want. And Rick nor Michonne can do it. They can't shoot him. I understand why. And so Carl's like, I have to be the one to do it. It has to be me. And so then he ends up shooting himself, but thank God they didn't show it, because this was already enough of a heartbreaker. I did not need to see that. They have Rick and Michonne outside the building, and then you hear it. But the very end, they go back to the vision, Carl's vision, and he actually has Judith walks up to this guy in the garden, and he looks up and it's Negan. And that's just so beautiful to me, that Carl had that much hope for everybody. I feel so stupid that I'm crying. No one judged me. But I just think that's super beautiful, and I don't think that it's possible. I think, it was the world's too ugly now, but I think it was really amazing that Carl still saw it as beautiful. So it was quite a emotional episode. It was a good episode. There's no Negan though, which of course, I'm not a fan of that. I love Negan, but it was a good way to send out Carl though, because I was pretty sad that they killed him off, especially because he didn't know he was going to be killed off, and he's a great actor. He's grown by leaps and bounds in this show. But if he has to die, it was a good ending for him. And Rick kept saying to Carl as he was dying, I'm going to make it real. Let's see how that works out, because I'm not thinking it's going to happen, but I think a lot of people would be upset if that happened, because that's too peaceful, too kumbaya, but I like that Rick has a new attitude now. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes. That's my official reaction. Obviously, I was emotional through it. Anybody who has watched the episode and has watched this, let me know what you thought. You don't need to comment on my ugly crying. I know I'm ugly crying. This is my favorite show of all time. I get really involved in this show, so it was bound to happen. I literally just stopped watching it, so that's why I'm all stuffed up and crying and shit. But thank you for watching. Thank you for giving this a like. Thank you for subscribing. If you are a brand new subscriber, hello and thank you. And if your subscriptions are not blocked or set to private, you'll make it on my thank you for subscribers page, which is coming up in an upcoming video. To all my subscribers, old and new, thank you so much for supporting me. It means a lot to me. My shout out for today is Vernon Stewart. Vernon Stewart, you are wonderful, and you are so supportive of young YouTubers such as myself. By young, I mean new. I don't know why I said young. I loved your live stream the other day. Do more of them because it was super fun. Everyone should check out his channel if you have not already. I will put his channel link in the description below. So that's it for this video, guys. Until the next time, peace.